We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host.
This is Sammy, your co-host.
Got my new shirt today. Well, actually yesterday. Conspiracy Castle one. That's the one that I've been telling you guys about. I don't know if I can wear it at work because he's got a machine gun, but I'm going to do it anyways. We're all about to lose our jobs January 4th anyway, so I don't really care.
Well, nothing else. You can wear your button up over or something.
Yeah. But, today I wanted to do a couple episodes before. One was on Charlie Says. There's another one on a Ted Bundy movie, which the title is ridiculous, so I'm not going to rename it.
Hell, I can't even remember.
It was something like evil, vile, rotten, and something.
Yeah,
it was a redonkulous title.
It was based on a statement that the judge happened to say during his trial.
Yeah.
That's literally what it's based off of.
But I got less than an hour before I have to leave, so this ain't going to be a super long episode, but I want to do, I've been watching true crime stuff here and there, and just wanted to do reviews on it. You know, I do movie reviews every now and then. But today we're covering the Raincoat Killer. Basically, it was in Seoul, South Korea. What did you think, about the movie?
The documentary was...
It's a docuseries. It's 3 parts, so it's not too long.
No.
Which is decent, because I know some of the other ones, like the Richard Ramirez one, which was pretty good, was 6 parts, though. But
yeah.
Go on.
I thought the movie, the movie, so the documentary, was good. I mean, there was this one dude in it that, he worked on the actual case, but just his personality, I'm like, man, I love this guy.
You compared him to that blue chicken off of Scissor 7.
Yeah, which is a Chinese animation that's on Netflix as well. I don't know, just the way he acted. He had his sunglasses and I don't know, it was just very
aviators.
Yeah. His name is
Kang Dae-won.
Yeah, Kang Dae-won. He was at the time the chief of the mobile investigation unit at that time, and just he's a very flamboyant, but not in the way of gayness. Just flamboyant in the way he
testosterone.
Yeah, it's very. No, I can't find the right word.
One of the phrases he said was very corny,
yeah,
American.
It was so corny. What he told them.
He said, I eat people like you for breakfast while he was interrogating, and he kept slapping the Raincoat Killer. He slapped him 3 times.
Was it him that did it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He came in, and first thing he did was just smack him. Yep. And then just started, yeah. He was, dramatic, too.
Dramatic, that's what I'm looking for.
He said at one point, normally I smoke 1 pack of cigarettes a day. He said, on that day when we were doing, the investigation, I smoked a carton. It's nah, dude, no one smokes a carton a day. Sorry, man. But, yeah, and then one part, too, he went home and he said, the voice actor was perfect, too.
Yes.
But he said he went home to his wife and kids and his family and shit, and he said, I just laid out on the floor thinking. I don't know, just the mental image of this short little stubby, little badass just laying out on the floor like, honey, what are you doing? I'm thinking. But the Raincoat Killer, we jumped a little bit ahead. But the Raincoat Killer, why they call him the Raincoat Killer is like during the footage of his actual arrest, because before he was arrested, he was just detained.
Yeah.
They interrogated him, and they at one point they didn't even know if he was the actual dude, because
He was fucking with him.
well, he just came out and confessed. They set him up. They were doing a stakeout for the Raincoat Killer. Once they realized it was serial murders, so they were setting up like basically like a decoy. By the way, this is gonna have like a lot of spoilers. But they were setting up a decoy of a woman, and the woman walked up, and he was on the phone with her like she was a prostitute, or supposed to be a prostitute, because one of the things he was doing was he was murdering prostitutes. And he looked at her and was like, oh, that's too tall. The reason why he said she was too tall is he would dismember the bodies into 16 portions to basically get rid of them. And he was like, oh, you're too big, like...
Yeah, if they were too fat, too tall, or something, he would turn the girl away and then call and ask for a different one and meet up in a different location.
Yeah, he wanted like petite, tiny.
But what's crazy is how he got caught was because of that. He got so comfortable that he ended up using one of the girl's phones, and the pimp, pretty much, he recognized the number, like, wait a minute.
That's my girl.
Yeah, it's my girl's number. One of the ones that's missing. He went, and he happened to try to, well, pretty much call the police, but like, hey, man, I think I got him, because it was one of my girl's missing numbers. Yeah. And so a dude that was already, like Abe said, on the...
Staked out.
Yeah, he had just gotten home, and after being on a 3-day stakeout, like, at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, when they arrested him, he was wearing flip-flops. It was hilarious. I don't know why that stuck out to me.
Oh, the detective guy?
I don't know.
Yeah,
whoever was on stakeout, it's just funny.
It was the detective guy. Because, well, he just got home. Was just like going, oh my god, I'm finally done.
Yeah.
For at least now.
But the point I was making is, he was kind of a weak ass.
Yeah, he was.
Like, when I was saying earlier is when he got smacked, like, even the other detective, not Day One, but the other one was like, Day One barely hit him. He said he even, like, showed he was like, you know, just like a bitch smack. But, like, as soon as it did it, yeah, they said he was real hot-headed. So he just started confessing. And they were just arresting him, like, they arrested him because they thought he would be the Raincoat Killer, but they couldn't prove it, and automatically the dude just started confessing to murders. Like, they gave him a pen and paper, and he just started tallying. Like, I think altogether he killed up to like 21 people.
Yeah.
But he just started tallying, and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, these are all the people I've murdered. And they're like, okay. So they're like, well, are you gonna, like, you want to confess? And he said, yeah, I'll confess if you bring my mother in. And this was something I don't know that I feel like, I'm not a psychologist or nothing, but they only focused on it for a little bit. His mom had an epileptic seizure when he confessed in front of his mom, and then later on he has an epileptic seizure. I don't know if that does anything mentally for people. Like, I know when you have a seizure, usually when you come out of it, you're kind of confused for like the rest of the day, and like your memory's like shot. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just looking too deep into something, but I mean, I've studied psychology in school and shit, and I just think that that might have had something to do with it. I'm not blaming epilepsy, but I think they should have delved more deep into it.
Yeah.
It didn't help.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as far as, like, why they called him the Raincoat Killer is, like, the footage of, like, his arrest, he was wearing a raincoat because he had led them out to the burial site. It was behind a temple.
Well, he ended up with that raincoat, yeah, because one of the detectives gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it was starting to rain, so that he was like, well, here's
Yeah.
the raincoat.
But it, like, the footage became famous, though.
Yeah, that was the famous footage.
That, and I don't know if it was just for theatrics, but it looks like it rains a lot in South Korea. I don't know. I don't live in South Korea, but every scene, it was just rainy. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think maybe that had something to do with it.
Could have been a rainy season.
But one of his phrases too, and it could have just been for theatrics, but they did have like fake audio of an actor doing the voice of the killer. Like, and one of the things he said was, "On the outside I look like soft rain, but on the inside I'm thunder." So I think that had something to do with it. The killer's name was Yu Young Chul. But his motive, and I ain't gonna lie, I kind of liked his motive. You know, he was a little bitch ass, and I'm not saying he did anything right, but his motive was, he was kind of a grifter. He would make his money during the day by impersonating a cop, and then he would like accost citizens and basically get money out of them, like show a badge. He had stolen a badge from a police officer or something. Somehow he got his hands on an actual like official police badge. And I'm not trying to be racist, but where everyone's Asian, they all kind of look similar. He was able to pull it off of like this, yeah, this is me, you know. And he would accost people and just kind of get money out of them, like, oh, I can arrest you right now unless you give me a certain amount of money, you know. That's how he paid his bills and shit. But his motive though was that he hated money. You know, kind of like the concept of money is the root of all evil. Like, he hated money and he hated prostitutes. Like,
oh, he hated women.
No, prostitutes. No. Because when he was interviewed, he said he didn't say anything about women. He said that the reason he killed all those prostitutes, he said, this is what happens when you become a slut.
Yeah.
He hated prostitutes. He didn't hate all women. He just hated, to him in his mind, even the detectives were saying, if you were a sex worker, you were less than an animal.
Yeah, you were less than human.
Yeah. In his mind, he thought he was like equal with God. Like, there was like some corny ass line he said where he's like, I feel like Superman. I was like, oh my God. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah.
But he hated money. He hated that, like, his first murder, he went in and he killed a grandma, a daughter-in-law. I think that was it. It was just 2 people, I believe.
No, and a son.
A son got murdered too?
Yeah, the dad was out working or whatever. So it was his wife, his mom, and his son. They were at home. That was actually the second murder, though.
What was the first one that we seen?
The very first one that they started showing in the documentary was the second killing he did. Because then they started to
okay, well, I just mean chronologically in the film. So it was the second murder. I apologize.
Yeah.
Then they did it fucked up. They should have started with the first. But anyways, the second murder he did, he had actually went to their dresser and pulled out the drawers. And I guess this dude was very wealthy. His son-in-law was actually, or not his son-in-law, his godson was actually a journalist. And he kind of helped report on it, and he was part of the documentary. But he said, you know, the dude was a very wealthy, like, businessman, older gentleman. And the Raincoat killer had specifically went through the dresser and pulled out the drawer with like a shit ton of money in there, just to show the cops, this ain't about the money, you know. Because even the cops were like, well, it could have been a robbery. And then when they seen the drawers pulled out, they're like, well, look in that drawer. There's a shit ton of money in there. And they're like, he ain't killing for the money, you know. And he specifically did that on purpose, I believe.
Yeah.
That just to be like, look, see this money? Fuck your money. This is why I'm killing, is because all you people care about is money. You know, that's why I ain't gonna lie, like his motive. I kind of like his motive, but I'm not a killer. I'm not saying he did anything right. I'm just saying, yeah, fuck money, man. I hate money. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I thought it was an interesting documentary.
Yeah. His weapon, man. His weapon was pretty dope. They started doing like they were trying to figure out what kind of weapon it was, and I ain't gonna lie, it kind of confused me at first because he didn't have a car. Like I guess in South Korea, like a lot of people just walk and ride bikes and shit. Like most of Asia, I would imagine. And he would just carry around a backpack, you know. And his weapon of choice was a sledgehammer. And I was like, well, how the fuck is this guy just walking around with a sledgehammer and no one's noticing? Because even in America, if I seen some dude just walking the streets with a sledgehammer, I'd be like, hey, what's that dude doing? Like, that's sketchy as fuck. You know what I mean? Unless you got like a construction helmet on and you're at a construction site. If I see someone walking around with a sledgehammer, even in America, I'm going to be like, honey, stay away from that dude, and we should probably call the sheriff. I'm not saying call 911, I'm saying you should probably dial the sheriff up, like, hey, there's a dude out here walking around with a sledgehammer.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sketchy. But what he did was he took a regular sledgehammer and he sawed it off to where it was about that long and like put on like a special handle. Like he specially designed this thing that it's a sledgehammer that you can just hold with one hand. It's small, so you could just slip it in a backpack, you know. And it was just handheld sledgehammer, and that, he would just bludgeon them in the head.
Yeah.
I thought like that was kind of neat, just because
it was very smart, definitely.
Yeah, and with serial killers, man, they always have like a special name, a special style to them, and I don't know, it was unique.
Yeah. That
was one of the big reasons I wanted to watch this documentary, was that like I grew up, my mom used to watch true crime, and a lot of women for some reason love watching murderer stuff. Like, I don't know how you feel about that, but I've just noticed it.
I mean, I somewhat do, somewhat don't. So, but then again, I've not really paid enough attention to other women to see what they like to watch. So,
yeah,
honestly, like I have no say on that.
But I mean, what drew me to it was like the Raincoat killer, and then I seen his weapon was a sledgehammer. I'm like, dude, I've never even heard of this dude. It was in 2003 that the murders were going on, and where I hate when they rehash the same stories over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean? And they do the same thing with horror, like remaking the Amityvilles. Like, dude, you know there's other stories out there. So, for me, what drew my attention to the documentary was, like, I'd never heard of the guy. I was like, oh, that's unique. That's cool. Like, I'll check that out. That's what I like, is killers that I don't know about, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a courtroom drama. So, if you're expecting, because I know that's one thing that draws a lot of people to serial killer stuff, is like you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the whole murdering part of like the blood and the gore, and it just shows all the murders, and then you get, honestly, you get several different aspects with true crime. And you get the whole investigation part. People like the whole murder mystery stuff. Mm-hmm. And then once they get caught, you get the courtroom drama stuff. This is strictly just the investigation, and this is on Netflix, by the way. I don't even think we said where they could find it. It's Raincoat Killer on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's strictly investigation and strictly the murders. So if you're looking for a courtroom drama, you're not going to find it, because they literally, after they arrest them, they kind of get into some of the victims' interviews and stories, and it just shows him being brought to the courtroom for death. And they're like, yeah, he got sentenced to death, and then they show him getting out of a van and going into the courtroom, and that's it. They don't even tell how he died, or they tell nothing about the court.
Yeah. Well, I think they do mention, actually, that he did get sentenced to the death penalty.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. They just said he's going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things I did find interesting was his shoe prints. And the whole time while we were watching it, I was like, man, they've got like 3 or 4 shoe prints. Like, that's how they caught Richie Ramirez. Richie Ramirez was wearing these special shoes that there was only like 500 made, and they started looking at receipts. And see, this was in 2003, so I kind of thought, honestly, South Korea, they should have been kind of looking, I hate to say it without sounding racist, but they should have been looking at what the Americans were doing as far as like true crime. Because I felt they did eventually start doing stuff, but I didn't hear them mention at all that they were looking for receipts for those pairs of shoes.
Well, I don't know about receipts, but they were just trying to find the pair of shoes.
Yeah. And they found like, I think they showed a photo, it was like 5 or 6 different pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
That matched up with it.
Yeah.
But when Richie, and this was back in, Richie I think was in the 70s.
Yeah, California.
Yeah, that's how they found Richie though, was they was going through the receipts of all the different stores all over the U.S. and shit. And they found them through that, was part of the big reason. But if they would have took a page out of the American true crime book, I think they would have caught him quicker. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, they admit already that they're kind of behind compared to the Western. They compared themselves a lot to Western.
I don't think they really have that many serial killers in South Korea, though.
No, that one was the first known serial killer.
Yeah.
He was the first known, anyway. So if there are any more serial killers in South Korea's history, it never made it to light compared to this one.
Yeah. One part that kind of resonated with me that was kind of sad was the second murder, which is the first one in the documentary. I don't know why they did it like that.
They did it because I think that's when he actually made it onto the radar.
Okay.
Because, the first murder was just, some random murder. Oh, look at that,
Yeah. But, I don't know why this just stuck with me, but the dad, when he had came to the crime scene and, realized that they had killed his wife and his daughter-in-law and his son, and it wasn't, like, the investigator's fault, but they automatically started looking into him.
Well, yeah, they even admit, they didn't want to, but at the moment,
it's their job.
This is the only thing we have to go on right now. At this moment in time, the money wasn't taken. It didn't look like they struggled, as if, they didn't know a person kind of thing,
Right.
Seemed like as if they knew someone, so that's all they had to go on. It was like, sorry, Dad, but we kind of have to investigate you first.
But yeah, the dad, he came in and was like, it's funny, but it wasn't funny. It just shows you, how much someone can be in shock and, deep depression, almost like instant insanity of, they had an aquarium in the house, and he just automatically ran up to the fish in the aquarium, and he was just like, did you see anything? Yelling at the fish, did you see anything? Who did it? Tell me who did it. And even the investigators were like, oh my God, because they suspected him at first, but they're like, yeah, I don't know, this dude's losing his shit.
Yeah, he was too emotional for it to be him.
Dead air.
I had to make my wish. You offered it to me.
I know, but we're audio too.
Well, honey, then you shouldn't have offered me the eyelash.
Honestly though, like I said earlier, he was kind of weak. I couldn't help but think of the Ripper, Jack the Ripper. And I did a whole series on Jack the Ripper. I might do one more episode on the suspects. So if you're on YouTube, there's a playlist of literally, I did 5 episodes on Jack the Ripper. Yeah, and you can go through and just watch them one by one if you want, if you're interested in true crime. Like I said, I might do one more episode on Jack the Ripper of the suspects, because he was never caught. But this guy kind of reminded me a little bit of Jack the Ripper as far as him choosing to kill prostitutes, Because like I said earlier, his motive was he despised money and the love of money. But he also despised, he was almost like incel-ish. He hated prostitutes. Like I said, he thought of them as lesser than human, lesser than animal. But man, he was such a little bitch ass though. Like the Ripper would actually sit there, and he was quick about it, but he would also, he was efficient, I guess. And like he would make it a spectacle. Like, I'm gonna cut this bitch's liver out and take the liver with me. I'm gonna string her intestines over her shoulder, you know. This guy would literally just run up, stab him a couple times, and run away like a pussy.
Oh, no, do you remember? That wasn't him. Don't you remember in the third episode, they even said, like, he even said, you know, actually, yeah, I shouldn't have said yes to those murders because it wasn't me.
See, I might have missed that.
He only said yes because they promised to take care of his son all the way until college.
Oh, that's
years.
right.
Yeah,
yep.
even he said
if he confessed to those murders,
yep,
they would have taken care of his son. Yeah, dude, that's another thing. This dude had a kid. He wasn't married, obviously, so
I
it
think
must.
he was at one point though.
Yeah, it was from a previous relationship, but
yeah.
There's this part, man, where he's like cutting up one of his victims' bodies, and his son called, and he was like so paranoid, and it took him off guard so much that he's like, what do you want? What do you want? And his son could tell it in his voice that he was distressed, and like his son was just like, oh, I just want to talk to you for a little bit, but in his mind, he was like,
my son knows.
yeah, my son knows. Yeah.
Yeah, he felt like his son. He was like reading in between the lines when there wasn't anything there. But just by his son asking the question of, "Are you okay?" he read that as, "I know everything, Dad. I know everything." Meaning, like, I know everything you've done, all the murders you've done, the person you're cutting up right now. Like, that's the way he felt, just because his son said, "Well, hey, are you okay?" He wasn't afraid that his son called. That didn't bother him. The phone ringing didn't bother him. He didn't start panicking until his son simply asked, "Are you okay?" That's when he started panicking.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing with true crime is, I was actually listening to last podcast on the left. I'm gonna check the camera, make sure it's still going. Yeah, we're getting close to the end. Once we hit the 30-minute mark, I'll probably just let it die, and that'll be the end of the episode. But I was listening to last podcast on the left, and there's like a stigma with true crime of like, you know, anytime people are like, oh, what are you interested in? What are you reading? What are you listening to? Of like, you're almost like scared to tell them I'm listening to like true crime. And one thing that Henry Zabrowski, one of the hosts, was saying, they were talking to a true crime author, and he's like, do you want me to be straight up with you? There's nothing wrong with being like, hey, I'm studying true crime, or I'm listening to true crime because I'm learning, and it's nonfiction, and it's history. He's like, and then honestly, just be honest and be like, sometimes I want to hear about somebody getting their head cut off. Seriously.
The
like
author was, or Henry?
The author.
Oh.
And he's just like, fuck it, dude. Sometimes just wear it with pride. Like, sometimes I want to hear about someone get their head cut off. You know, and the same people that judge that statement are the same ones who slow down for car wrecks. Like, sometimes you just want to see some fucked up shit. Let's just be straight up, you know?
And what was one of those other fucked up shit he did when he killed those prostitutes in his bathroom, and after he severed off their head, he would take their hair, tie it with a rubber band, and then hang it on his toilet paper roll holder. Mm-hmm. Just let it sit there and hang.
Yeah, while he was dismembering the body. Yeah, the mental image of just a head hanging from a toilet paper holder. Like, that shows you how much he thought of them as less as human, too.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm just going to tie you up to a shit paper holder. Yep. You know? Yep. Crazy.
You get to pretty much watch me cut up your body.
Yep, and I'm going to look at you every now and then. But he would invite these prostitutes to the house, and...
Yeah, he brought them back to his house.
He had a rule almost like a vampire. Like, you know how a vampire can't come in unless they're invited in? he believed that the threshold between his living room and the bathroom, he said in his mind he believed if they stepped over that threshold into the bathroom, it almost was like them inviting him to like finish the job, like murder
he
them.
called it the life and death threshold.
Yeah.
It was literally the life and death.
Like if you stay in the room with me, it's life. If you step over into my bathroom, you're dead.
Yeah.
Because he kept his hammer in there and.
Or in his bedroom or something, just somewhere he could easily grab it.
Yeah.
And while they're in
I
there,
think that he kept it in the bathroom. I mean, I'm just thinking like a serial killer, it'd just be easy just to grab it. But the way that the South Korean, like their bathrooms are designed a lot different than America's. I mean, the only way I can compare it when I was watching it was like, it's like American if American was like rehab or jail bathrooms. Like it's stand-up shower, it's one small room. Everything just kind of leaks out into this area. Like
they have a drink.
Inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.